Hey guys, this is Donald. Great to see you all. It's been a while. I wanted to make sure that I checked in with you because we're about to get started with some pretty cool stuff, and consider this video to be sort of a welcome back. Um, if you will remember, the last time I put out like a significant life update was in 2022, and I said why I'm starting two new call centers in 2022. So, for those of you that don't know me very well, I started a company called Vicky Virtual, it's a call center back in 2015. Built it, we served thousands of clients in many different industries. And I sold that company in 2019, October 2019. A few months later, I created a course on how I did it, which to this day has had over 500 students, over 100 call centers launched with a combined 8 figures in revenue annual and growing that I'm aware of. So I think it's been a pretty cool movement. Um, so there's a few updates. First is, one of the beautiful premises of being able to do this type of business is to be able to run it from anywhere on the planet. And I'm excited to say that since October of last year, so that 7 months now, I've been a full-time nomad. I don't have a place. I got rid of my belongings are in storage. I don't have like a monthly apartment or condo or house. I live on the road. I've been staying in some fantastic places. Um, I haven't been spending more than I was spending in the U.S., but I certainly live on not a very small budget here. But it's allowed me to really have some real fun. I've been to Colombia, spent some time in Peru, spent some time in Mexico. Have went back to Chicago. I'll be going back in a few weeks for a conference, and then probably going off to Argentina. The goal is a few more months in South America. Yo puedo hablar en español también ahora. For the last 2 years, I've been working with a Spanish tutor that lives here in Mexico City, actually, but our classes have been on Zoom 4 times a week, 90-minute lesson, per lesson for 2.5 years. So now, I can have 30-minute conversations with people that only speak Spanish. So it's really expanded my ability to experience, especially Latin America, but certainly the world at large. I don't want to talk too much about it, but we're doing a world tour right now, and it's very exciting. We're here in Mexico City, in my favorite neighborhood in Polanco, and really just enjoying the premise or one of the premises of what this type of business is. So again, back in 2022, I had recently started a company called Cana, as well as a company called Bandu Virtual. Bandu Virtual didn't work out. The partnership that I had, incredible guy named Ron Douglas, just didn't work out. We're still cool, but it was a call center for course creators and coaches and honestly, if somebody wants to take that idea and run with it, it is a 100% guaranteed winner. Especially if you have connections in the space. So for those of you that have agencies or stuff or are in that industry, seriously, get the course um, and get going on creating that because nobody else is doing it, and it's a fantastic concept. But that didn't work out. Call Canna, however, has been doing great. We're thriving, we're profitable, we're serving our clients well. We do a lot more than my old company, Vicky Virtual, did because you sort of have to in this industry. But the premise of starting a fancy answering service is still an incredible, strong, growing concept. Now, the one thing that I get asked all the time is, you know, but people want to not only start a business that's real, they don't want to start things that are like fly by night. They don't want to start things where they're not delivering tangible value to people. Um, and so call centers are tangible values. Like every single client we serve, you can sleep well at night because we're actually providing tangible value to people. It's a real thing. right? It's not like, oh, I'm marketing something and then people buy it, and then on the other end of it, they don't really know what they're really getting. Uh, we're providing real value to clients. When a business needs to have their phone calls answered, and you have a trained staff that's answering those calls, being polite, being helpful in a more efficient way than most businesses would be able to do internally, either from a cost standpoint, right? Dicky Virtual, my old company, our average client sort of revenue is $300 a month. Prices have changed a lot now, so the average client, for those of you that start, would be closer to $500 a month. And, if you compare that with someone hiring a full-time or even part-time receptionist, even if they hire from outside the country, it's going to cost them $1,000 a month. And they have to manage them. They have to find them and hire them in the first place. And that person's only covering up to 40 hours a week, right? They take breaks, they have vacation. What we provide is a team, right? A team of people that are covering large, like an expanded coverage, on top of the 40-hour week. Um, and we really deliver value. So, but the biggest thing that people keep asking me is, what about AI? And I think that's been applicable to pretty much any industry, right? Um, and what I don't want to do is see what is essentially a movement and not participate in it. But I don't also do things just because, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. I've never been like that. It's the reason why I have stuck to tried and true simple business concepts that just work. And it's the reason why I've been able to start 4 different companies that I was able to create enough value for someone to want to buy them from me. Right. And that's the reason why Call Canna, what I've recently started, unlike the competitors that also started around the time we did before and after and have folded, we're profitable. We took in, um, an initial round of friends and family so I could get some advisory board members. But other than that, we haven't taken in any additional investors and we don't plan to. So, so AI, people think that the premise of AI is that you replace humans. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I'll only get into some of them. The first is that artificial intelligence, it depends, of course, on how you define intelligence, but the reality is that it's not sentience, right? We're not actually replacing the human brain. What we do have is reiterative improvement. From a series of reiteration, we have the computer model that can, sort of make choices that are smarter and smarter and smarter based off of outside feedback. And so, like, it's an iterative learning process, right? Now, humans do think in one way in terms of iterative learning. Like, if we hear we shouldn't do that, or if we punch a wall and our hand hurts, we know not to punch the wall again. That's iterative learning, right? Some people don't learn, but most people do. Um, but what it isn't, it's like quantitative quantum thinking, right? It can't think of like a bunch of things at the exact same time. It can consider multiple things one step after another, right? If you ask GPT something, it can say, oh, these are 3 considerations for why you should do this and 3 things as to why you shouldn't. It can think about things in a sequence of very tightly put together steps. What this means is that AI voice cannot completely replace humans yet. But what it does do is it replaces the simple stuff. What happens right now is you have scenarios in which a call comes in and someone asks, hey, what are the hours today? And either they listen to a recording, like a greeting that's like a minute, 2 minutes long. Oftentimes they'll say, hey, our hours are this. And if you have any more questions, feel free to press 1 to talk to someone, right? So in order for someone to talk to someone, they have to wait for this long message. Now, people are used to it, but it's not an ideal customer experience, right? Then we have conversational IVRs, which is where you hear a thing that says, I can understand complete sentences. And then you say something and it's like, and then it comes up with an answer that sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. What voice AI can do is simply answer the question. So I can call it and say, hey, what are the hours for this store today? And someone will say, yeah, the hours are this. How, can I answer any more questions for you? Some of the voices sound great. And so how do we integrate this? We integrate it with hybrid, hybrid call centers. The actual future of call centers is not an AI call center. It's one that includes human and includes the advantages of those simple inquiries that humans shouldn't be dealing with. So a hybrid call center is where I've taken my current call center, and it is the premise of a new course that I am developing. It's called the Hybrid Call Center. We have changed the name of this channel to that, and I will be creating and putting out content surrounding the mindset, why it makes the most sense, and why eventually, ultimately, the entire industry is going to head in that direction. What a lot of companies do, if they do knee-jerk things or they don't do anything, there's companies that focus exclusively on retaining all the humans, and there are companies that are like, yo, we just need to get rid of all the humans just to save money and, have a nicer shareholder report in the next quarter. But what's going to happen is a lot of those companies that switch completely to AI are going to have buyer's remorse, and they're going to trickle back in some human content and ultimately become a hybrid call center anyway. And so why not jump ahead of that curve and offer that type of service right now? The real future in call centers is a hybrid call center. So if you're interested, make sure that you click on a link. I don't even know what the link is yet, but I'm going to create one. And whoever edits this video will put it in for me. And, we're going to talk about it. It's time. I started the course after selling my company in October 2019 to empower people to be able to have the same experience I did in terms of creating a company that actually works, whereas you can build actual enterprise value, not just making money, right? I can sell some product and drop ship and make whatever amount of thousands of dollars per month, but you don't have enterprise value there. If you create something where every single client is recurring revenue, every single client is actually being served by your business, a business to business relationship, and something that they actually need. You get this thing to where you can have, 100 clients, 200 clients, 1,000 clients. You're in a situation where institutional investors and inquirers come in and they ask you, please, can I buy your business? And if you think the best way to create wealth is simply making money through, monthly, it's not. The real people that make a bunch of money quickly and really create a legacy for themselves are people that create a business that make like $250,000 a year. And then in a case like this, gets acquired for a couple $1,000,000. And that's the type of thing that sets you up for life. So call centers, they're still on pace to be a $750 billion global industry by 2030. And we want to give you the opportunity to participate in that. I sold a company, spent 2.5 years doing nothing except having a course. I invested in companies. I looked into all kinds of different business models, and I ended up starting 2 more call centers. I could have started anything else on this planet. I started 2 additional call centers. I locked in on the one that made the most sense to me, and that's what I currently do. And I am able to sit here in Mexico City and bounce around the world in any place on the planet I want to be. And I don't have anyone telling me that I need to RTO. I'm not affected by, the wins of some company based off of, what they do during COVID versus what they did now. Every single one of the dozens of employees that work for me now are able to work remotely. I've got people in, I think, 9 countries, some in Latin America, some in Eastern Europe, some in the US, some in Africa. And, it's just a beautiful experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So that's what I want for you guys. Thanks for listening to this update and stay tuned for additional content soon to follow.